Hello and welcome, Exiles. I want to introduce you to something I like to call Hexblast of Contradiction, Inquisitor, Tri-Stacking Mines. Now, this is my plan. To follow up my initial Spellblade League starter is to swap into this character. Now, you might notice there was a Phoenix map opened. I just messed up recording the video, I picked up a defense shrine, and I was supposed to be showcasing the character on not great gear, and when you pick up a defense shrine, your energy shield goes to... Well, no, it wasn't just a defense shrine, it was a defense and a massive shrine, so my ES went to 10k, which essentially is almost doubling my damage, so it looked a little bit better than it should have. It should still look good when we kill this Phoenix, but essentially, I'm rambling. The goal, I'm not going to click the shrine, because it's going to give me, like, defense or massive or something on accident, and then it's going to brick the showcase. Now, essentially what I want to showcase here is what I plan to shoot for on my day 2. Doesn't mean it's something you have to hit on your day 2. Take the league start however you will, however fast you can do it, however slow you can do it. But this is what it looks like doing a Phoenix with the Hexblast Contradiction on a 5-link. And you'll notice I have Adorned in my inventory. And Adorned should be in my tree right now because I have magic jewels everywhere. And I'm taking it out for this showcase to simply illustrate a level, this should be roughly equivalent to a level 91 character. Granted, this is not efficient. Obviously, this should be a large cluster, but I'm just trying to showcase here. A level 91 character with a bunch of magic jewels, which ideally you should have rare jewels with like stats, percent life, percent ES, percent mind throw speed. Like these jewels are not exactly what I would call the cream of the crop, but hopefully it showcases that the power level of the character is there on a very lower end in terms of investment, but you have the ability to scale it. Because in the late game, what I will be planning to do essentially is have the Adorned jewel here, and then actually grabbing more jewel sockets like this, right? This is something where we would be improving it. Granted, we still have 5 more points. There's like nodes we can grab, but I'm just trying to showcase the idea of the character. Now, the idea is pretty simple. Get all 3 attributes to be very high. What does this get us? Well, number 1, with Cyclopean Claw, we get 1% per 5 of our lowest. And with an attribute mastery, we get another 1% per 5 of our lowest. So, when we have roughly around 1,000 of each attribute, that is 400% increased damage there. Point number 2 with Tri-Stack is you are playing with a Righteous Providence character, which gives you 1% crit per lowest of int and strength. So for me, that's 954% increased crit chance. You'll notice, if I hover over my Hexblast of Contradiction, I have a 90% spell critical strike chance. Now this is lower than it actually gets to because we are playing with charged mines, and this is before we have power charges. TLDR is we get to 100% crit chance. Now, why are we using Hexblast of Contradiction? What's so special about this skill specifically? This skill has a mod that says chaos damage with hits is resisted by highest resistance instead. And what that means essentially is you don't really care about the res if you're an Inquisitor, and if you're not an Inquisitor, well then you just can't play this skill gem. It's basically an Inquisitor exclusive gem because of Inevitable Judgment, and essentially what we're having is we're having a lot of flat lightning with Spellblade added on top of this skill gem, and the skill gem gives 150% more damage with hits if the enemy's hexed, and all you really need is a curse on hit, enfeebled, temp change, vulnerability, elemental weakness. It does not matter. Any curse on hit in Saber's Touch will do. I have Enfeeble as my Blasphemy curse. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter because we're not trying to do a res curse. We're not trying to lower the enemy's res. Just get a curse on hit and get yourself a Blasphemy aura, and that is plenty to support Hexblast. That's all you really need to start rolling with it. Now, this skill, why are we choosing it? Well, 340% damage effectiveness times 2.5. This is like an 800% effectiveness skill that can freeze, shock, and ignite with all damage. Essentially, that means we're going to freeze most enemies, we're going to shock them for very high amounts, and it works great with mines because it's balanced around a really slow cast time, and it has higher base crit than the normal Hexblast. So we don't need a thing like Sandstorm Visage to fix the base crit because it's already at 6 base crit. The important main difference between this gem and the regular Hexblast is essentially this has a higher percent more multiplier on it, but its downside is you can only really use it with Inquisitor because it limits the ability to target X res or chaos damage is targeted by low res. Technically, because this says chaos damage and not every damage type. You can essentially have a bunch of Spellblade, and you maybe could be like a Scion, for example, and you could still pen past the lowest res. But the idea is, with Inevitable Judgment, it's just a great start to having a ton of damage with how hard this skill hits. Now, outside of that, our tree, and why are we doing Tri-Stack? It's, 1, we get the percent damage scaling, we get the crit. 2, we get Mage Bane, which this point alone we're going to get about, I think we have 64 crit from it. Yeah, we go from 18 to 82. Granted, as you min-max this, as you invest more into it, your dex number is going to go up, and that means you can get to spell suppression cap without really having spell suppression on a single piece of gear. So that's a pretty big upside. Outside of that, you get things like, and this is probably one of the most important parts of Tri-Stack and why I'm doing a mine character, and it's a little item called Curtain Call. This item was actually introduced by my friend to commemorate his friend who died at age 23. Kind of a sad backstory, but all in all, the item is very, very cool for a Tri-Stacker because it allows you to turn your mine throw from 1 to 3 if you have above 800 of dex and above 800 of int. And it works perfectly if you're doing Tri-Stack to do that sort of thing already, which means we can have a mine skill where we're not using Minefield, and we can still get a ton of mines out, and we don't have that dreadful less throw speed that normally Minefield comes with that makes mines feel generally pretty bad to play unless you have a really high increase to your mine throw speed. Hopefully that describes the idea behind the character. Ultimately, this gear is something I would assess to cost me probably around on League start. My guess is anywhere from the range of 10 to 20 divines in terms of crafting cost, in terms of getting stuff together. If you factor in the Adorned, my guess is Adorned is going to be anywhere from about 2 divines to 10 divines for the early getting it really early on, and it'll obviously scale up as the League goes on and more people get money to start buying it. I initially bet that Adorned won't even exist on trade early, which is why, of course, I showcased the build with just magic duels with the Adorned pulled out to give you the sense that, yes, this build can be played without Adorned, but it gets a lot better when you put it in. Now, I'm gonna of course, showcase that because I got some Uber Mavens here. Side note, I did a lot of testing before this on stream. Look at my drop rate on Maven. Boots, 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 boots into Flask with Awakened Chain. My League Start RNG is screwed. But that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and get in an Uber Maven real quick, just to give you an idea of what this character looks like on a 5-link doing Uber Maven. My plan for this character is to do A, Valdo maps that aren't voided, some of the hard ones that will have good returns on profits. B, the new T17 maps to see what kind of loot we can farm early on those. And C, maybe do some early Ubers to try to get some good money. Now I'm just going to showcase Uber Maven here. We did all Ubers successfully, a couple deaths here and there, but it was relatively smooth in my opinion. Now let's go ahead and fight Maven real quick. And then after I fight Maven, I want to showcase something interesting I learned about mines today, in that you can actually brick your amount of mines you can throw. I should get out of that. You can actually brick the amount of mines you can throw if need it not. Just put this out of the arena. You can brick the amount of mines you can throw if you don't have an extra amount of reservation space above what is possible. Now, what I mean by that is essentially what I was doing is I had Vitality Aura, and I don't have it on my keybinds right now to show you, but I have a Vitality Aura that I was using to have some extra regen, and I could place as many mines as were possible, but what I didn't realize is that the game considers how much reservation space it takes to throw the additional mines. Am I gonna be able to outrun these? Yeah. Oh, that's fine. Okay, sorry. As I was saying, basically what was happening is I had enough reservation space for 19. My cap was 18 in terms of how many I could reserve on my life pool. And what ended up happening was I would go to throw, and it would only throw out 1 additional mine, even though I was supposed to be able to throw 3. Essentially, I was bricking my throw speed because I didn't have the reservation space. So I learned that basically you need a little bit more reservation space than you might think you actually need, due to it calculates the ability to throw those mines if you have the reservation space above your maximum. Can I absorb this? Okay, we're fine. Alright, and hopefully we finish this off without breaking or messing anything up. We will see. So, needless to say, while I was testing the character, I made a few mistakes that I figured out, and I'm fine-tuning it a little bit. These phases go right top, right top. Eighty suppress and block do be kind of carrying. All right, now that's what it looks like to do in 85 Maven. You can see the 50% less damage, level 85, and I got boots again. This is great. This is great. For those of you who don't know, generally on League Start, these boots are premium, and of course, dropping a Progenitus. I've done 6 Mavens today. I've got 5 boots and 1 Flask. I'm so screwed. I did 1 Uber Elder. I got a Watcher's Eye. I got an Indigon. I got an Awakener's Orb. Plus a chain from, I think, Sirius. Today is, I'm sure my RNG for League Start's not screwed. Anyways, let me showcase what I'm talking about with the Flask thing. Check this out. If I reserve my Vitality Aura, do I have the reservation space? Oh, I swapped some things around. What did I change? I'm not gonna remember now, because I know I changed some things. Oh, it's because I had this. Okay, this way. Alright, I grabbed this for the extra mine capacity. Alright, so you see we can throw up to 18 mines, right? And now... Oh, I messed it up again, didn't I? Yeah, I'm still off. I have a bit too much reservation efficiency. Let me pull this out. Okay. Now, let me try this. I want to showcase this. Still don't have enough mind space. How did I do this before? Essentially what would happen, I don't know how to get it to show it. I need to like level up the vitality or something. But essentially what would happen is I would throw all the way to max stacks, and if I didn't have enough space with my leftover pool here, it would only throw out 1 mine if I had enough space for 1 mine. If I didn't have enough space for 1 mine, it would soft lock my character, like I couldn't throw a mine at all. Or if I didn't have enough space for the 3 mines I was going to throw, it wouldn't throw those either. It would only throw 1 or 2 or however much space was there. Anyways, needless to say, I learned that you need to have enough space for the amount of additional mines you're planning to throw on top of your maximum as available space to be reserved. That was the lesson I learned. Anyways, this is the Tri-Stack Inquisitor. It's not something that I'm going to have on day 1. This is not my League Start recommendation. This is just the character and the progression I'm going to go into. You can play Spellblade Inquisitor as a self-cast character, as a cast on crit character. You can play it as a lot of different things. I'm planning to play it as a mine character as my progression because I think this is a very strong setup to go into, and I'm excited to do it. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of where I'm going to take the Spellblade League Starter. You can do a lot of things though. If you want to do cast and crit, look at my old guides on how to do cast and crit with it. If you want to do some sort of thing similar to what I did last league with a brand character, you can go that angle. You go self-cast with what I'm doing to League Start with Tornado and then just min-max that. I think you probably could take that all the way to Ubers. It doesn't really matter a lot in terms of like, are you going to be limited? You're going to be able to do whatever you want, I think, and make it work with the Spellblade archetype. It's just that strong. And this is what I plan to swap into because I think it'll be really strong for the gearing. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video of me going over this, and I'll see you guys on League Start. Take care and peace out.